All right, so now that I've made these coins and I can actually collect them, and it's adjusting a score variable and printing that onto the screen. We're going to do something that's kind of just a review of that, but we're going to make a new variable, and when I overlap with something, we can change that variable, and then we're actually going to have that variable do something once it hits a certain point, right? So you might be thinking, oh, that score, I could do something like that. I can make a variable for a player health, right? And then if my player health hits 0, the game should start over or something. That's what I want to show you now, okay? I'm going to come in here, control space to bring up my content drawer. Make sure you go to your folder that has the blueprints in it that we're making. So there's my coin there. I'm going to right click and create a new blueprint class. This one's going to be an actor. And I'm just going to call it BP_spikes. Because when I'm just going to make something that if I run over them, these kind of spooky spikes, it's going to deal some damage to me. And if my health hits 0, the game will start over, right? So I'll open up that blueprint now. And I'm going to do the same thing that I've been doing. I'm going to go add component, type in scene, drop in a new scene, hit enter for the name, and then drag and drop it on top of the default scene root to get rid of that. Okay. And then I'll go add component again. I'm going to look for a cone, drop in the cone. Wanting me to rename it, I might just call it spike, just so I know exactly what this is. And I probably will move it up like that. And this is totally up to you, like what you want yours to look like. But I'm going to make sure I have one spike set up right. Because then what I'm going to do is actually duplicate this spike inside this blueprint. So I have like 1, 2, 3 spikes. And I want to make sure that this one is set up right before I duplicate it so that all the duplications have the correct material, the correct collisions, all that stuff, okay? So first off, let's go ahead and just change that material. So I'm going to click on it, look in my details for materials, and I don't know, I'll look for metal of some sort. And there's burnished steel. There's also regular steel. I might go with burnished steel. That looks spooky enough to me. Okay, and then if you remember on the coin that we made, because that's a thing I want the player to collect, I added a collision box around it to make it a little bit easier to collect, right? That if they kind of maybe just brushed by the side of the coin, they could still collect it. And it feels pretty good from a player standpoint. But if I was really close to touching the spike but didn't actually touch it, it might feel bad that I'm taking damage when I'm clearly not actually overlapping with it, right? So in order to fix that, I'm not going to add a collision component. In fact, what I'm going to do is click on my spike and then go in my details. And I'm going to scroll down until I find my collision section. And in here, I have a collision preset that's currently set to block all dynamic. And what that means is when the character runs into it, it's going to actually physically bump into it and it won't be able to go through it, right? It won't be able to overlap with it. So I'm going to click on block all dynamic, and there is overlap all dynamic. And dynamic just means things that are moving, like a character. So I could get away with overlap all or overlap all dynamic. I think I'll go with overlap all dynamic. That should be fine. And then I'll compile and save that. So I have the correct material on there, and I have it overlapping or overlappable, right? And you want to make sure generate overlap events is checked there as well, okay? And now if I wanted to duplicate this, I don't think in here, unless they've changed it for Unreal 5. Yep, if I hold down Alt and move it, it doesn't actually move a duplication of it. So what I have to do is right click on it in the components list here and then do duplicate. And it gives me a duplication. And I'll move this one over a little ways. And then I'll click on it again, duplicate, or you could do Control D, right? And let's see, this one, did I do 80? So yeah, I went too far on this one. I was gonna say that doesn't look right to me. So 80, or maybe I'll go with 70. Move them a little bit closer. Something like that. And there's my spooky spikes. My camera's too fast in here. There we go. Very nice. Okay. And then, of course, on my event graph, when I overlap with these things, I want to adjust a health variable, right? A player health, but I don't actually have that variable made quite yet. So it looks like I still have to save this, and my compile is up here. So I'm going to compile and save my spikes one more time, and then I'll go over to my character. So here's my character now. Once again, I'm going to make a new variable. I'm going to click Add Variable. I'm going to call it Player Health. I like calling it Player Health because maybe later I'm going to have some enemies, and so maybe I want to have like enemy health or boss enemy health, or like if there's going to be some turrets, I could have turret health, right? So I always just try to make sure I'm specific on what that health is. So for this one, Player Health. And because my last variable was an integer type, it remembered that and it kept it an integer. That's totally fine. I'm good with that being an integer, no problem. You could make it a float, but it really doesn't matter right now. If you have closed Unreal down since making the coin, you might want to just click on, if it says Boolean right here, just click on it and set it to an integer. Okay, and then of course, if I have that selected and look at my details, my default value, I can't actually change it until I compile. So I'll go ahead and compile. And then if my player health were at 0 right at the start, that means I'm dead. So make sure you change this to 100. Because when we finish this up, if you still have this at 0, you're going to be dying and respawning over and over and over again, and you won't be able to play your game. Okay, so go ahead and just type in 100 there, and then hit compile and save. And there it is. I have a player health with 100 as its default value. Okay. Let's jump back over to the spikes, and this will be a lot like the coin. On actor begin overlap, I can cast to my character. I'm still in a third-person game here, so third-person character. Make sure you do that double connection. Or I could have dragged out from other actor and cast to it, and it would have done it for me, right? And here, I don't know if I want it to do like any crazy particles or sounds or anything. I was just showing that to show that you can dress these things up a little bit more. Maybe if you found a sound online that sounded like the character taking damage, you could do that here. But for now, I just want it to deal some damage every time I run into these spikes. So I'm going to drag out from as my character here, and I'm going to search for get player health. So again, this target player health is actually get player health. And I want these spikes to deal a significant amount of damage here, so I'm just going to drag out from player health there. And oops, wrong key. Do the minus, so I have my operator subtract. Again, it used to be called integer minus integer. Now it's called subtract. There it is. And again, I want this to do a significant amount of damage. I'm thinking maybe if I hit the spikes 3 times, I'll die. And my maximum health right now is 100. Right, my default health is 100, so if I want to die after hitting the spikes 3 times, I'm going to set this to 34, right? I have to round up, because 33, because it's an integer, I can't do 33.333333, right? I have to do 34. And that's fine, that'll work just great. 3 hits and I'll be actually below 0 health, right? So I'll be able to say, hey, when I run out of health, go ahead and start the game over because I died, right? And now here I can say set player health. And again, if any of these, if the player health isn't showing up when you're searching, just go back to your character and make sure you compile and save, and then just double check that the default value is 100. And then those should start showing up for you. I'm going to go ahead and drag this one up to player health, and then make sure I do the blue into target here. I'll compile and save that. No errors. That's awesome. I'm not collecting the spikes, so I don't have to come from here and do destroy actor. I can just leave it like this. This will work for my spikes. In fact, actually, one last thing I might want to do, just because I don't have a heads-up display yet, is I could do print string and then just connect those up, and it'll convert it for me, just like it did on the coin, right? And now if I go back out to my level, I can drag out some spikes. Go ahead and hit play. So I'm collecting coins, and it's printing on the screen that I have 10 points, 20. That's awesome. Then if I hit the spikes, I have 66 health, 32 health, minus 2 health, and it'll just keep going on and on and on. So now I have to make something that's going to say, hey, if I run out of health, go ahead and start the game over, right? So to do that, once again, I'll go to my content drawer and I will find my third person, or again, for you, it might be a different one, first person or something, right? Whatever your template is. Blueprints, and open up the character again. And in here, I need to make something that's going to check constantly if my health has run out. And remember, I was saying if you want to repeat something in blueprinting, you can do it with a tick, right? So I'm going to right click and type in tick. I have event tick. And for now, just because this is checking if something is true or false, if I've run out of health or not, I don't really have to worry about my frame rate. But again, I did actually go into my NVIDIA settings and limit Unreal to 60 frames. There might be a way to do it in Unreal, but I always just do it on the NVIDIA control panel. So again, I don't really have to worry about that right now, but just be aware that this tick is updating every time the frame updates. So it's probably going to be a minimum of 60 frames every second, right? Because that's what games run at now. At least 60 frames. So anyways, from this tick, I'm going to go ahead and drag out a branch. This is what Unreal kind of uses for their if this, then do this. If not, do something else. Or if something is true, do this. If something is false, do this. They call it a branch, right? And for me, when I was learning blueprints, when Unreal 4 first came out, I definitely had more of a technical background in code. And so I was always like, okay, I know what I want my things to do, what I want my code to do. I just don't know the blueprinting syntax. So if you're kind of similar to me, you don't know what a branch is, you'll get used to it. You'll remember, oh yeah, I need to check a condition. I use a branch. You'll kind of get used to the new syntax and you'll see how these things work. But definitely that was an adjustment for me at first. But here I can feed in some condition, right? So I'm going to go ahead and check if my player health has run out, right? So I'm going to click and drag my player health variable onto the grid here. It says, do you want to get it or set it? I want to get my player health. I could have also right-clicked and type in get player health. Let's see, player, there you go. Get player health, and it would have dropped it in. But I always find clicking and dragging it to get and set is really easy. So I usually do that. And then I can drag from player health. And I need to search for if it's less than or equal to 0, right? Because when I was running over those spikes, I actually went below 0. And I didn't actually hit 0. I never equaled 0, right? So I'm going to hold down Shift and do the comma key for less than. And I get less than or equal to. I'll click on that one. And it already has 0 as the default number. That's exactly what I want. So I'll plug that into condition. And for now, I just wanted to start over the current level. So maybe you make a new level. You get really ambitious for your first game and you have multiple levels. We'll make this ready for that. We'll make this more robust so it can start over the current level so that maybe you have 100 different levels, right? And if they're on level, if your player's on level 97 and then they die, you probably don't want it to go back to level 1. Or maybe you do. Maybe you want to be that punishing, right? You are the designer. You can make that choice. But for me, I wanted to just start over the current level, whatever level they're on. So if they're on level 37, it'll start over level 37. If they're on forest level, it'll start over forest level, right? So when it's true that I'm at or below 0, when that is true, I'm going to drag out and say get current level name. Get current level name. So whatever level I'm playing on, get the name of that level. And then from there, I'll drag out and say open level. Then I have open level by name. That's perfect. That's exactly what I need. Now, one of these is a string and the other one is a level name, but I can always convert these things just by dragging it, right? So I can just drag the return value to level name. It says, hey, do you want to convert it? Heck yes, I do. So I let go of the mouse and there's my conversion. And that is going to start the game over on that particular level anytime I run out of health, okay? So again, I'm going to go ahead and click and drag to select all these nodes. I'll hit C and I'll say handles player death and respawn. Easy, right? Oh, the other nice thing about having these comments is that if I need to move any of these around just to make some more room, I don't have to like try and click and then drag them like that. I can just click and drag just the comment, and now they all move. So if I wanted to move these anywhere, I could, as long as they're in the comment box. If one of them was outside of the comment box, then it wouldn't. So that's another nice thing about the comment boxes. Okay, handles player death and respawn. So event tick, that's happening every time the screen updates. We're getting our player health. We're checking if it's at or below 0. When that's true, we're getting the current level name and we're opening that level. So I'll compile that, save, and now let's go ahead and test that out. Okay, so I can run around, grab a coin or two, hit my spikes, hit my spikes, hit my spikes, and now it started the game over. I can collect those coins again, and then if I run over the spikes, I should have, yep, I'm at 66 health, so it did reset my health, which is perfect. I was back at 100, so I'm at 100 now. Now I'm at 66, 32, start over. Easy, right? Pretty nice. So you could start adding more obstacles and dangers that could take away health, and then have the level start over when your player runs out of health. Now, really quick, I mean, I don't know if you really need to see this or want to see this, but just really quick, I can very quickly make another blueprint that can actually give my player health, right? And there is one thing you might want to see on this, so it's pretty easy. I'm going to right-click, blueprint class. It is another actor. BP underscore, I'll just call it health pack. And I'll very quickly dress this up a little bit. So I'm going to go add, whoops, I will, hang on here. I will go ahead and add a new scene, replace my old scene here. I'm going to add a cube. Here's my cube. I'm going to go ahead, oops, I renamed it. Let's just call this health pack. I'm going to go ahead and move it up above the grid here. Geez, my camera is really fast. There we go. Above the grid a little ways. Let me go ahead and scale it. I want this to be like a first aid box or something. Maybe like that. Okay, and then I can always, let's go ahead and add another cube here. And I'll just call this one cube. That's totally fine. And what I'm going to do, actually, kind of scale it. I'm going to turn my scale snapping off so I have a free scale. I'll move it up, make it a little bit shorter like that. Maybe even a little bit shorter. I'll turn my move snapping off as well. I'm just going to kind of eyeball this. That looks fine. And one last thing, I'm going to check the scale here. Again, I'm just dressing it up. You can do whatever you want to kind of dress yours up. I think you'll see what I'm doing here as I'm doing it, though. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and duplicate this cube now. Hit enter for the name. And then I'll go ahead and rotate one of those cubes. So now I have kind of the little first aid cross in there, which is great. Now, I don't have like a red material, and we could make a material, but for now, I don't want to like overwhelm you. So what I'm going to do, in my mind, visual language, things that are red, even though it is, you know, the red cross for medical stuff. Red usually means danger or stay away or stop, right? And green means you're good, let's go, it's safe, you want to go to it. So what I'm going to do is actually just probably use that moss again, just as a green material there. I'll do moss. And there we go. I have kind of a first aid kit. And I can go add component again. COL for collision, add a box collision. I'll go ahead and change the hierarchy there a little bit. Probably not super necessary to do that, but and then I will scale this so it's a little bit larger in all directions, because again, this is something player will want to collect easier, right? They'll want to overlap with it a little bit easier than the spikes because it's something they want to get. So I'll make it a little bit larger like that. That might be too large, but I'll go with it. And then I'll go add component, do that rotating movement again. I'm going fast because, again, we've done this with the coin and the spikes. You can really dress it up how you want, make it look how you want. But I'll go ahead and add that rotating movement just so it kind of catches the eye a little bit. And there's the health pack. Okay, and I can go to my event graph. And it's going to be just like before, actor begin overlap, cast to my character. So again, mine is third person character. Make sure you connect other actor into object. Okay, and this is where it's going to deviate just a little bit. So as whatever character, I'm going to drag out, and I'm going to say get player health. And let's say when I collect this health pack, I don't want it to be super powerful, but I do want it to give back a little bit of health. So if my spikes are doing 34 damage, maybe I want my health pack to give back 25. I don't know, you're the designer, you can figure out what numbers you want to use, but I'm going to go ahead and just add 25. Okay, now this sounds fine. If I've taken damage, I can collect a health pack and it's going to go ahead and just add 25 to my health. But what happens if I am at 100 health and I collect a health pack? I'm going to go above 100, which, you know, maybe you're making Team Fortress 2 or something and you can overcharge, right? You can overheal as the medic. So maybe you do want that to happen to an extent. I don't want it to happen. So what I want to do after I add 25, I'm going to drag out from here and I'm going to look for what's called a clamp. C-L-A-M-P. Clamp integer. And because I'm using an integer, it says integer. But I want to clamp this value. And clamping it just means I'm clamping it. I'm setting it to... it's going to have a minimum and a maximum, and it can't ever go below or above those two values. So my minimum doesn't really matter right now because I'm adding, so I can just leave that at 0. But my maximum, I could say, hey, you know what? My maximum health is 100. I never want to go above that. Or maybe you do want to start at 100, but they can maybe go find some secret health pack somewhere by exploring, and they could overheal to 150 or something, right? So you could type that in there, 150, and that would work. But I'm going to just clamp it to 100, so it can never go above 100. Okay, and then I can drag out from here and say set player health, and then take the return value from the clamp and connect it here, and then do target connected to the third person character or whatever your character is right there, that blue circle. Okay, and then after the set, this is where I will want to, ooh, that's going to bother me. I can't get those chords to line up. I'll show you how to fix that in just a second. The last thing I need to do here is just destroy the actor because I've collected it, right? And I am on my health pack, so when I collect it, it's going to destroy the self, and that's totally fine. So I'm a little bit, I don't know, OCD about this, I guess. I can't get this to have a straight line here. It's always going to be kind of angled, and I don't like that. So what I'm going to do is actually select these 3 nodes down here and hit Q on the keyboard, and that will line everything up. So kind of nice if you're like me and you need everything to look visually appealing. It is visual scripting, so we may as well, right? And I'll go ahead and compile and save this. Now, there might be one last thing that I want to add to this, right? I'm going to go ahead and delete these other nodes that I don't need. Because right now, if I'm at 100 health, I could still go collect the health pack, and it's just going to keep me at 100 health and then delete the health pack. And that might not be very good, right? So there is maybe one last thing I could add to this, which is just going to be, hey, do I actually need to heal any? Have I taken any damage, right? And to do that, I can just simply check. Hang on here, I'm trying to make everything, just have a little bit more room here. I can just check if my health is below 100, right? So I could say branch. And actually, you know what? I think I want this branch after my cast, right? Because I still need to cast to my character to get whatever my health is. I'm going to go ahead and just reorder that. Okay, and I am actually going to drag this back because I'm going to create a condition off of it. And then do shift, comma for less than. So if it's less than 100, meaning I've taken some damage. When that's true, go ahead and let me collect a health pack and heal back up to 100 or whatever it happens to be. Maybe I'm really low on health and it's going to add 25. But if I ever collect enough, if I'm at 99 health, I'll be able to heal 1 point from collecting it, which again might not be very good, but it's better than collecting it when I'm not going to heal anything, right? So that's how I would do that. That way I don't have to cast multiple times. I have that cast first. First I'm creating a condition out of it, and if that's true, it's going to go ahead and just add my health, add 25 to my health and clamp it and then destroy the actor because I've collected it, right? That's all on one screen there. You can pause it there, but I'm going to go ahead and compile and save and test it out. So again, let me bring up my content drawer and I'll bring my health pack here. I'm going to hit play. I'm at 66. I'm at 32. I've died. Okay, I'm going to go see if I can collect my health pack right now. No, I can't. I'm actually running into it, which is fine. And then if I take some damage, then I should be able to go collect it. Oh, I didn't print the string, so I don't know how much health I had. 66 plus 25, right? So now I'm at 57, 23, and I've died. Okay. Let me go ahead and actually add one more health pack here. And really quick, I might want to edit that and just add a little print string here. You don't really need it because the next thing we're going to do is actually set up a heads-up display. But just for now, I'll go ahead and add my print string just so you can see it working here. And I'll go ahead and play. So now, again, I can't collect it because I'm already at 100. Take some damage. Now I'm at 91. If I collect this one, I am less than 100, so I'm going to collect it. Now I'm at 100 again. You can see it say 100 there. Now I'm at 66, 32, and dead. Okay, so that's the health pack and the spikes and handling dying and respawning. We're getting a little bit faster. We're covering more things each little video here, so that's great. Hopefully you're liking blueprinting so far, and like I said, in the next one, we'll probably do the heads-up display so you can see a health bar and how many coins you've collected.